भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, the Samam Bhuvanam, Chapter 1, the Advent of Lord Krishna, Introduction, verse number 57. Kirtimantam prathamajam kamsayanak kadundubhi arpayam asakrachrena so anartat ativivala. Word to word meaning: Kirtimantam, by the name Kirtiman. Prathamajam, the firstborn baby. Kamsaya, unto Kamsa. Anakadundubhi, Vasudev. Arpayam asa, delivered. Krishrena, with great pain. Saha, he, Vasudev. Anartat, from the breaking of the promise, or from fear of being a liar. Ativivala, was very much disturbed, being afraid. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Translation: Vasudev was very much disturbed by fear of becoming a liar by breaking his promise. Thus, with great pain, he delivered his firstborn son, named Kirtiman, into the hands of Kans. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In the Vedic system, as soon as a child is born, especially a male child, the father calls for learned brahmanas, and according to the description of the child's horoscope, the child is immediately given a name. This ceremony is called Namakaran. There are 10 different samskaras or reformatory methods adopted in the system of Varnashram Dharma, and the name giving ceremony is one of them. Although Vasudev's first son was to be delivered into the hands of Kansa, the Namkaran ceremony was performed, and thus the child was named Kirtiman. Such names are given immediately after birth. Om Agyantimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Nama. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavati Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 1, verse number 57, Translation. Vasudeva was very much disturbed by fear of becoming a liar by breaking his promise. Thus, with great pain, he delivered his firstborn son, named Kirtiman, into the hands of Kamsa. Hare Krishna. So, it's my honor to be speaking here today in the Association of Devotees. We are discussing the first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, wherein the scene is being set for Krishna to appear. So we have read that Kamsa, who is brother of Devaki, was driving Devaki and Vasudeva on the day of their marriage to her new house, Devaki's new house. And when there was Akashvani, the voice from the sky, that Kamsa will be killed by the 8th child of Devaki, Kamsa became very afraid and he wanted to kill Devaki. But Vasudeva, he somehow pacified Kamsa. Vasudeva gave lots of philosophical arguments, but Kamsa didn't get pacified. But finally Vasudeva said, look, Devaki is not going to kill you. Devaki's 8th child is going to kill you. I promise to give you all the children of Devaki. You don't kill Devaki. And the cruel Kamsa, he agreed with this. He had faith on the words of Vasudeva. Generally, a asura having faith on a devotee and vice versa is not there. And moreover, having faith on a person who will tell you that I will give my child to you. Even if you are going to take care of the child in great love, nobody will give a child. What to speak about giving child to Kamsa, who is going to kill the child? Who will have faith on such a promise? But Kamsa had faith because Vasudeva had a great reputation of truthfulness. Hare Krishna. Great reputation of keeping his word, keeping his commitment. That's called reliability. One of the qualities of Krishna in Nectar of Devotion is being reliable. Krishna is reliable. We can rely on him. We may have experience in the world with so many other personalities, not reliable. They don't fulfill their commitment, or they don't act as expected, or they don't come on time, or fulfill their promise, or give back credit on time when they are debtors. But Krishna is reliable. Srila Rupa Goswami writes that not only Krishna is reliable, but two opposite groups, the Devatas, demigods, and Asuras, demons, both rely on Krishna. Two enemies to each other relying on the same person is also rare. The demigods with their wives, they freely enjoy in the opulent gardens because they are confident that in case demons attack us suddenly, Krishna will protect us. Reliable, Krishna will protect us. And the demons keep their doors open because they know Krishna will not attack us without announcement. He will not attack unannounced. So they also know Krishna is to be, we can rely on Krishna. He will not suddenly come and attack me. He is reliable. So here we find Kansa, he has faith, he has trust on Vasudev that he is a reliable person. What vachan, what promise he is giving, he will fulfill it. So Kamsa agrees not to kill Devaki and frees them. And in due course of time, Devaki has first child, a son, and his name is Kirtiman. The 6 sons of Devaki, they are the 6 sons of Marich, who laughed when Brahma got attracted to his own daughter. And for that offense, they were punished to be 6 asuras in the family of Hiranyakashipu. Later on, they offended Hiranyakashipu also, quote unquote. And Hiranyakashipu got angry and cursed them that your father Kalnemi will kill you. And that is how they became the 6 sons of Devaki. And Kamsa, who is Kalanemi, killed them. So Kirtiman is one of the sons. And Srila Prabhupada explains that when a child is born, especially son, on the same day, name is given to the child based on astrological calculations. That's called Namkaran Sanskar. We follow it sometimes by giving the name on the same day in our society, sometimes after a few days. In some societies they do it after a few weeks, 6th day or 3rd day or something like that. So, but anyway, the name is given, that's sanskar. Sanskars are processes of reformation, which means a child, when he comes in the society, a human child, he is born not with great consciousness. In order that he becomes a good devotee or a good character citizen as he grows up, there are some reformation to be done to purify his consciousness. And that starts with Garbhadhan Sanskar before the conception, and then other samskaras. So these 10 samskaras are for purifying the consciousness so that we have good character people in the world. If there is good character people population in majority, then this world will be peaceful. But the low character, degraded people, then this world will not be peaceful. And the minority good character will also suffer, because if there are majority of bad character. Like there is a saying, never underestimate the power of fools in majority. When many fools come together, they can make an intelligent person crazy. So in Kali Yuga, majority has very great power. So if majority of people chant the holy name of Krishna, then that is very great strength to purify the world. If majority of people have Bhagavatam in their house, Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada books in their house, and they read, then there will be very big change in the thought process of the world. So ours is mass movement to give the holy name to everybody, to give Srila Prabhupada's transcendental books to everybody, to give an opportunity to come and take darshan of Krishna, everybody. to honor prasadam, everybody, to offer service, everybody, to dance and chant, everybody. This is very essential. Everybody is allowed. In fact, even animals are allowed to honor prasadam. We cannot have dogs coming in the temple, but they can be given prasadam compassionately and such things. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was on the way to Vrindavan through the forest of Jharkhand, he made the lions, the elephants, the snakes, the deers, the birds chant and dance in ecstasy. Chant without any envious feelings among themselves. So it's for everybody. So the samskaras is for reformation. So giving name is one important part of it, one important sanskara. A suitable name means name of Krishna or name of a devotee of Krishna with Das or Dasi. So somebody's name is Krishna or Gauranga, the understanding is Krishna Das or Gauranga Das or Dasi. So when a child has this auspicious transcendental name, and whole life the child hears the name, because many people call him or her. Everybody around call. So maybe millions of times in whole life the child hears the name. So millions of times unknowingly he is performing the hearing of holy name of Krishna. And the parents and relatives, they keep calling the child. So they are reciting the holy name of Krishna indirectly. Indirectly means Krishna's name is direct, but they are not referring to Krishna, they are referring to their child indirectly. Namabhas. And even that is auspicious. Even that is spiritually elevating. It gives spiritual progress. And we have classic example of Ajamila. Ajamila, he performed so many sinful activities that when he was about to die, Yamdutas came. In fact, Yamdutas were waiting for him, that when will this guy come? We did overtime for him and we will give him punishment. He did so many sinful activities. And seeing the Yamdutas on the deathbed, being very fearful, he called his small son who was in the same room. And the name of the son was Narayan. And he called Narayan, Narayan. And the Vishnu Dutas appeared. And they told the Yamdutas, you can't take the soul of Ajamil. All his sinful reactions are nullified because he chanted the holy name of Narayan. Even though he didn't call Lord Narayan, he called his son whose name was Narayan, but still he got a second chance. Yamdutas didn't take the soul didn't leave the body, death didn't occur, death got postponed, and he got a second chance and he went to Haridwar, and there without offenses he chanted the holy name of Narayan, and then he went back home, back to Godhead, to Vaikuntha Loka. So modern names which have no meanings and which have no holy effect, auspicious effect, that's not a good idea, that's not a good system. So we should encourage devotee parents and others whom we come in contact to have Krishna's name or holy name, devotee's name, Dham's name as the child's name. So both the child gets benefit by hearing and writing his name, And the relatives, parents, family members and friends get benefit by calling him or remembering him through his name. Name is a big attachment. We all are attached to our name. In the crowd of thousands, so many sounds may be there, but if we hear our name, we become attentive. Oh, who is calling me? Right? So many other sounds may be there, but we are attentive to our name. We get attached to our name. We find our name sweet. Anybody calls our name, we find sweet. If there is welcome going on, somebody's name comes, welcome so and so, we feel in the heart so nice, my name is being taken. So we feel attached to the name. So that's Namkaran. So Vasudev, he knew he has to deliver the baby to Kansa, and Kansa is going to kill the baby. But still he did the Namkaran Samskar for the reformation. Not that anyway he is going to die, why to do it? Still he did. Duty should be performed. In our life, even if we know that the result of this duty is a failure, still the duty should be performed. Because performing our duty is obedience to Krishna and our authorities. Result is in Krishna's hands whether he gives or not, but the duty has to be performed. Like Krishna told Arjuna to fight. At no point Krishna told Arjuna to win. Victory is a result of duty, of fighting. So Krishna is insisting to Arjuna to perform your duty, to fight. Become my instrument, nimitta. Result I will give, whether victory or defeat, result I will give, but you fight. So Vasudev, he performed the Namkaran Samskar and he went and delivered the baby to Kans. And it is not an easy job. He definitely had pain of losing the baby. He definitely had pain because he is attached to the baby. But by not giving to Kans, he would be breaking his promise. He will be called liar, Baiman, Dokebaj, cheater. And that was also painful to him, that I will be called a liar. I will be breaking my promise. I will not be fulfilling my commitment. And this pain was higher than the pain of losing baby. The pain of losing character was higher than the pain of losing baby. He agreed to sacrifice the baby but not sacrifice his character. And he went and gave to Kans. Now we should understand this is not because of fame. Vasudev is being truthful not because my name will get spoiled, people will call me jhutha, liar. No, this is not for fame. This is for because he wanted to follow dharma. The four legs of dharma are austerity, mercy, cleanliness, truthfulness. In fact, truthfulness is common for all religious processes and worldly morality in all countries and societies. Every different society has a different way of religion or different way of sacrifice or worship. But in all these societies, you will find one item common, that's truthfulness. In fact, there is a very nice verse which I want to read on this. Srila Prabhupada gives a very nice purport. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 17, verse 33. I'll just read the translation and purport. Therefore, O friend of irreligion, you do not deserve to remain in a place where experts perform sacrifices according to truth and religious principles for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport: Yagneshwar, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is a beneficiary of all kinds of sacrificial ceremonies. Such sacrificial ceremonies are prescribed differently in the scriptures for different ages. In other words, sacrifice means to accept the supremacy of the Lord and thereby perform acts by which the Lord may be satisfied in all respects. The atheists do not believe in the existence of God, and they do not perform any sacrifice for the satisfaction of the Lord. There are different countries in different parts of the world, and each and every country may have different types of sacrifice to please the Supreme Lord. But the central point in pleasing Him is ascertained in the Bhagavatam, and it is truthfulness. The basic principle of religion is truthfulness, and the ultimate goal of all religions is to satisfy the Lord. So Srila Prabhupada explains that in all processes, truthfulness is common. A devotee should be truthful, satyam. This is to follow dharma. Vasudeva is not thinking of fame. Like when we go to toilet, we take bath. Not for fame that, oh, if I don't take bath and people come to know, my name will be spoiled. No, automatically we take bath. We can't be without that. Because that's dharma, that's our habit. After eating, honoring prasadam, we wash our hands. Not because, oh, what will people think if I don't wash my hands? It's a natural habit of cleanliness, and cleanliness is one leg of dharma. So Vasudeva is not comfortable to speak lies, to cheat Kansa. It seems to be a noble cause to protect my baby, I spoke lies, and that seems to be morally acceptable. But still he didn't do that. He was not comfortable. In childhood we read in the school, if wealth is lost, nothing is lost. If health is lost, something is lost. If character is lost, everything is lost. So character is most valuable treasure, and we should protect our character. So one of the item of our good character is satyam, speaking truth, being truthful. Speaking half truth or giving a different interpretation of truth is also untruth. Half truth is equal to full lies. It's not half lies. When you speak half truth, you can't say I spoke half lies. You spoke full lies. So in Kali Yuga it's rare. As devotees in the community, we should speak truth so that we develop good relationships. If by speaking truth you have loss of money, or by speaking truth you lose your name and fame, or by speaking truth people come to know your weaknesses, or by speaking truth you lose your political position, if by speaking truth you have any such losses, still we should speak truth. Even if we have a loss of some material, measurable profit we have acquired. In school we also learned this. Honesty is the best policy. And I would like to change a little. Honesty is still the best policy. It's not that the world has changed and it's okay to be dishonest. It's okay to speak lies. It's okay to cheat others. It's okay to be untruthful, asatya. No, we are seekers of truth on the path to absolute truth, Krishna. And while seeking truth, we speak lies. How will we appreciate truth? We will not. And if somebody comes and speaks lies to us, will we like it? No. Then how can I have a license? Nobody should speak lies to me. I don't like. But I can speak, no problem. Please tolerate. You don't speak. I don't like it. But I will speak. License 007. I can speak lies. No. If we speak lies multiple times, our people will not trust us. Our market value will go down. And the day we need to speak truth, people will doubt. In childhood, I read a story. There was a boy who was taking care of many goats. And the villagers told him, you go a little away from the village towards the forest. And he said, no, lion will come. They said, don't worry. As soon as you see the lion, you just call us. We will come with sticks and fire and chase the lion away. So the boy was little afraid, but he said, okay. He went and he wanted to test whether actually somebody will help me. So he lied and screamed, lion has come, lion has come. And all the villagers came with stick and fire. And when they came, there is no lion. And the boy said, I was just testing, there is no lion. They said, okay. Next day, the boy liked the game. Now he was not testing, he was playing. So he again lied, lion has come, and all the villagers came running. And there was no lion. So every few days he will do that, and he will enjoy the game. One day, really the lion came, and he screamed, lion has come, lion has come. But not a single villager came, because they didn't trusted him anymore, because he spoke lies multiple times. So even when he speaks truth, they didn't trusted him, and the lion ate the goat and ate the boy also. And his life is gone. So we will lose trust. We will lose relationships. And by speaking lies, if we gain some money, if we gain some name and fame, if we defend our honor, or if I spoke lies to protect my image, but I lost a relationship, or I displeased Krishna, was it worth the gain? We have joined leaving everything just to please Krishna. And we please Krishna by following the dharma given by Mahajans, given by Acharyas. Shukracharya, he told Bali Maharaj to speak lies. Bali Maharaj, being attracted to Lord Vamandev, who came as a dwarf Brahmana, he promised him, I'll give you 3 steps of land in charity. Your 3 steps of land in charity. After his promise, Shukracharya interrupted, and he told Bali Maharaj, his disciple, that this is not good. This promise is not good. This Vamandev is actually Vishnu himself, and he has come to take your whole kingdom. In fact, in 2 steps he will take the 3 worlds, and there will be no way to keep your 3rd step. So you will be called liar whole life, that you gave only 2 steps. You didn't give the 3rd step. You will be called a cheater whole life anyway. So better you cheat now and don't give anything. Go back from your promise. Speak lies. There is no problem in speaking lies when you want to protect your property. So reject. Don't give him anything. Bali Maharaj, spiritual master, who actually saved his life. Not just saved his life, he was not about to die and Shukracharya saved him. He actually died and Shukracharya made him alive again. How obliged he must be, how grateful he must be, how surrendered he must be. Somebody not just saved your life, made you alive again. That person is telling you to just speak small lies to a Brahmana. But Bali Maharaj said, no, I cannot speak lies. Bali Maharaj said, I cannot cheat a Brahmana. I don't mind becoming poor. I don't mind losing my power, losing my kingdom, losing my associates. I don't mind being falsely accused of any other criminal activity. I don't mind. But I mind being called cheater to a Brahmana, being called liar who cheated a Brahmana. And I want to read a very nice verse which Bali Maharaj says, Canto 8, Chapter 20, verse number 4, translation. Bali Maharaj says, there is nothing more sinful than untruthfulness. Because of this, Mother Earth once said, I can bear any heavy thing except a person who is a liar. Purport. On the surface of the earth, there are many great mountains and oceans that are very heavy, and Mother has no difficulty carrying them. But she feels very much overburdened when she carries even one person who is a liar. It is said that in Kali Yuga, lying is a common affair. Okay. So, Mother Earth says that I can have lots of oceans and mountains and buildings on my body and I don't feel burden. I will carry. But one person speaking lies is a big burden. It's highly sinful and I don't like to carry. Mother Earth, so mother, Mata, like mothers carry their babies. The baby is heavy, but still mothers carry. Even if a baby is grown up and not able to walk, mother will carry. I mean, difficult in Govardhan Parikrama, but still they'd carry. So Mother Earth is ready to carry all her children, all her living entities. And she doesn't find burden. But she says, if my children speak lies, I find it burdensome. A mother is not feeling good carrying a baby, carrying a child who speaks lies. Then she will not like to nourish. And in this age of Kali, this quarrel and hypocrisy, this pretense and mithyachar everywhere, so it's very big, burdensome. So we in the society of Vaishnavas, at least in our relationships, in our character, should be Satyam, should speak truth. To speak lies just to please somebody or protect our so-called material profit is not a devotee's character. So we should try and we should always speak truth. Even if we have a loss, that will keep us peaceful. That will cleanse our heart. And you know what? If you speak truth, you don't need much memory. Speak lies, you need memory. What I spoke last time, you'll have to remember. So the next time also you continue it. And that's tough. And Satya is like sun. Truth is like sun. You cannot hide with lies of cloud. How much you try, you cannot hide the sun. We will fail. The sun will come out. The truth will come out. So when we are seeking truth, when we are seeking absolute truth, let's be truthful. That's the last leg of religion in Kali Yuga. If this also be cut, then what remains? It's the advice of the scriptures to fulfill our commitment. King Dashrath in Ramayana, he gave commitment to Vishwamitra that whatever you desire I will do. And Vishwamitra, after taking the vachan, the commitment, the promise, he said, give me your two sons, Ram and Lakshman. I want to kill some demons. And Dashrath felt unconscious. He said, they are bacha, they are small boys. Even that bow and arrow they have is toy bow and arrow. They don't have a real one. And how will they kill demons? I will come with my army. Vishwamitra said, no, you have promised, so you give. And he gave. Not only that, he had promised to Kaikeyi, once upon a time, 2 boons. And at a proper opportunity, Kaikeyi asked for the 2 boons to banish Lord Ram in the forest for 14 years and keep Bharat as the king. And Dashrath knew if he do that, he will die in separation. But pran jai par vachan na jai. That my life I can give up, but my commitment I will not give. My promise I will not give. And he banished Lord Ram. So we see there is very big message here in the scriptures. Hiranyakashipu was given boons by Brahma that you will not die in day or night, inside or outside, up or down, by man or animal, or by any weapons. And Nrsimhadev came to kill Hiranyakashipu, keeping the promise of Brahma. Vishnu could have broken the promise of Brahma and still killed Hiranyakashipu. But Lord Vishnu, he kept the promise of Brahma and killed Hiranyakashipu in the form of Nrsimhadev, neither man nor lion. On the doorway, neither inside nor outside. In the evening time, neither day nor night. On the lap, neither in the sky nor in the ground. And with nails. Nails are not called weapons. In the airport security, they don't tell you, hey, cut your nails. They are not called weapons. He killed him with nails. So he kept the promise of Brahma. And why did he protect Prahlad Maharaj? He kept the promise of Narad Muni, because Narad Muni told Mother Kayadu, don't worry, your son will be protected. So to keep the promise of Brahma, he came as Nrsimhadev and killed Hiranyakashipu in this way. To keep the promise of Narad Muni, he protected Prahlad. And to keep the promise of Prahlad, he appeared from a pillar. He appeared from a pillar. So Krishna wants to keep the promise of devotees, but devotees don't want to keep their own promise. Oh, that's such a contradiction. So Krishna will help us to keep our promise. Krishna wants us to be truthful and keep our promise. And the most essential promises we have given to our spiritual master when we take initiation. Vows in front of Guru Maharaj, in front of Agni, fire, in front of Vaishnavas and in front of deities, that every day I will chant minimum 16 rounds of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And follow 4 regulative principles: no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex. So we should be determined to fulfill this vow every day, whole life. A candidate is given initiation only after checking his seriousness, that yes, he is serious to follow whole life. Then the recommendation is given that please give Diksha. We understand that he or she is ready to follow whole life. Not for next few months, or till initiation, or till second initiation. After that I will not. No, it's a serious lifetime commitment. So this vow, this promise to the spiritual master deities, Vaishnavas, we should follow whole life. With a good character, we should stay in the association of devotees, so that we are not doing any offenses. If we do offenses, then we will not be able to follow this vow. By offenses, our taste will go away, taste will reduce, determination will reduce, will break the regulative principles, will not be able to chant 16 rounds every day. So in association of devotees, a good character individual can maintain his bhakti. By our skills, we may start our bhakti, but we can't maintain our bhakti by skills. We maintain our bhakti by character. By character, good character, we stay in association of devotees. If we have good skills, somebody has good cooking skills, or good mridanga playing skills, or good singing skills, he will be invited by the temple devotees. Come and do service, you play so nice mridanga. Come and do service, you do so nice cooking or management. Come and do service, you are so nice organizer or event planner. We will invite. But after he comes, his skills are similar and his character is down. We will say, please go. We don't want good skills and bad values. Very difficult in any organization. So, character is required, honesty is required to maintain our bhakti, not just skills. So, by practicing chanting of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we do automatically get good qualities. At the same time, we have choice to respond to various situations and make decisions that should be based on good qualities. If humility is the first step in the ladder of progress in bhakti, then honesty is first step in the ladder of humility. If we are not honest, how can we be humble? Honest with ourselves that I am fallen. If I am not honest, how will I be humble? So these messages are given in Srimad Bhagavatam, in the lives of great devotees, that we should be good character individuals, we should be truthful, we should be austere, we should be merciful, we should be clean, and we should dedicate our life in the service of Krishna. And when we do that, we will receive success. Spiritual success means pleasing the Guru and pleasing the Lord, their Lordships, Lord Krishna, and going back to Godhead. This human form of life is very rare. And in a rare human form of life is further rare to have opportunity to serve Krishna in the association of devotees. And now we have got this opportunity, rare opportunity. Any intelligent person, when he has an opportunity, a rare opportunity, he will use it for his own benefit. So we use for our own benefit by performing nice sadhana, by being good devotees. Good devotees mean good qualities. When our heart is filled with good qualities, then Krishna is attracted to sit in the heart. If the heart is filled with dirt, anarthas, bad qualities, Krishna would not like to sit. Like we sit on a floor or asan, when it's clean. When it's unclean, we don't like to sit. The asan should be clean, the floor should be clean, the chair should be clean. Then we like to sit. So Krishna also, we want Krishna, come Krishna, please sit. But we don't clean, so Krishna will not get attracted. So this whole process of sadhana is cleansing process. To be honest, to be humble, to be tolerant, to be forgiving, to be compassionate, to chant our rounds, to bow down to Krishna, to attend Mangalarti, Guru Puja, Bhagavatam class, honor prasadam. This is all for cleaning, purifying. So morning we chant and purify, and afternoon we speak lies and again make it unclean. The next day morning again we chant and holy name thinks, "Arey, yesterday I cleaned it, what happened? What is going on here? Yesterday I cleaned, today again, same thing." Right? So we continue our life in this way, and that way we'll receive Krishna Prem, we'll receive success in spiritual life. Okay, we will end here. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. If Maharaj wants to add anything, yeah, Prabhuji wants to add anything.
In the earlier days, when devotees were out on Sankirtan, they asked that they can wear normal clothing because in the Western countries people don't know about these devotee words and shaved heads. And then when they're out doing their Sankirtan collection, sometimes they say, "Well, we're feeding the hungry and we're doing this and that." And there was even something by hook or by crook, sell a book. So if you're just thinking that I'm surrendered to Guru and my temple authority is sending me out on Sankirtan, some of the lines or the mantras that the devotees are using may appear to the ordinary materialist as though it's not truthful. But we're seeing that if all the Lakshmi is using Krishna's service, that they're benefited, they're good. So is there a place where somebody is given that freedom to say something slightly not appearing truthful when it's used for the ultimate good of Krishna consciousness?
Yeah. So, yes, in olden days, this incident is mentioned in Lilamrit, and there were devotees who were thinking this is okay to do, and it did happen for many years. And there were some devotees thinking not okay to do, and they finally united and wrote a letter to Prabhupada. You must be definitely aware. And Prabhupada did support the idea that the Lakshmi is used in Krishna's service. At the same time, he said our institution's reputation is at stake, so we should not do it. At some time it became over, and Prabhupada actually stopped it. There's a whole episode in Lilamrit. He stopped it. So, and nowadays, I don't think it's happening in that way, right? It stopped. So when the institution's name is at stake and devotee's name is at stake and Prabhupada's name is at stake, definitely, even though Lakshmi benefit is there, it has to be avoided. In fact, if we go ahead in Vasudev's life, Vasudev, when the 8th child was born, he came out of the jail. That's immoral. Escape. He went to the house of his friends at night 12 o'clock. He went into the bedroom of his friend's wife, Yashoda Maiya, and he exchanged the baby so that my friend's baby is killed but my baby is protected. A Vasudev whom we are describing here, so truthful person, he did so many immoral activities. What if he was caught outside the jail, somebody saw him and clicked the selfie? What if Yashoda Maiya woke up in the bedroom and saw my husband's friend here? What after exchanging the baby he came out and somebody else met him in the Gokul village? It would have been a big scandal at that time. But still he did all this immoral, and here we are talking, he is fearful of speaking lies. Because Krishna told him to do this, and he agreed to sacrifice his character. In the future, historians would refer to this incident that Vasudeva was a liar, Vasudeva was a cheater, he cheated Yashoda Maiya and Nanda Maharaj. He agreed to sacrifice his character and morality for the pleasure of Krishna. So that's a higher thing, but that only if Krishna comes and tells you, or Prabhupada or Guru Maharaj or some authorized things comes and tells you. So in protecting the institution, there is a scope of what Prabhuji is saying. But that would be better done in a conference hall rather than on Vyasasana. But that should be authorized by the spiritual master. In principle, this is what we should follow. Every principle has an exception, but that's based on time, place and circumstances. But the principle of honesty or truthfulness doesn't change by an exception. Is that okay, Pooja? Yes, Pooja.
As we were speaking about Ajami, and he got the second chance. When he got the second chance, he was totally observing him, chanting him, doing everything. So this was special mercy of the Lord to him, or he understood that whatever he was doing that was not correct, and now I should do right things.
Yeah, this is special mercy on him, that within his heart he could introspect and realize that I had fallen away, I had deviated, I had changed my devotional path and got engaged in sinful activities, and I need to reform myself by chanting the holy name of Krishna. So this is Krishna's mercy. Without Krishna's mercy, just by our own effort, we can't practice bhakti or chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Even now if I pick up mala and say Hare Krishna, Krishna comes on my tongue, and that's not because I have a facility to vibrate or I have a capability to use my tongue, but that's because Krishna agreed to come on my tongue. If I say table or chair or glass, I don't need glass causeless mercy or tables causeless mercy. I might have a tongue and I have my life breath and my system is working, no paralysis, I can say glass. Because glass and glass word, name and glass person, these two are, glass object and glass name, there is no connection. But Krishna is equal to his name. So when I want Krishna to come on my tongue, I need his permission. So when I say Krishna, it's Krishna's mercy that Krishna comes on my tongue. So Ajamila chanted the holy name is Krishna's mercy. Okay? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, I very much appreciate the class.
Yeah.
A couple of comments and maybe a question. The well-known Greek philosopher Plato said, nobody is hated more than one who speaks the truth. And even Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, one who holds the truth from somebody can be considered as a form of violence. So we see now, it's very fashionable in Islam, is for a lot of people on these traveling speaking circuits to be wandering around the world, attending conferences, and speaking in a very vague, inconclusive presentation of Krishna consciousness. It's not really delving into the deep aspect of it, just talking superficial things of mass general appeal without making it very clear. Then we see people who will be very strict and very direct about Prakash Maharaj who have kind of been sidelined from the rest of the society because they're so brutal and frank in the presentation of Krishna consciousness. So my question now is, you spoke about the quality of truth. So we understand Kali was the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. So what is the difference between hypocrisy and truth?
Hypocrisy means inside is not equal to outside. Inside I am a different person and outside I am claiming or promoting or presenting myself as a different person. That's hypocrisy. Inside I am wanting to extract some profit from you, but outside I am presenting myself as your well-wisher who has no selfish interest. Inside I am thinking in a different way, and outside I am presenting myself in a different way. That's hypocrisy. What you said is difference between hypocrisy and truth or untruth, I would say. Truthfulness is presenting the facts as it is for the benefit of others. If a mother tells the child, this medicine is not bitter, actually the medicine is bitter. Mother tells the child, this medicine is not bitter. That's not considered sinful activity, even though it's untruth on the value. So Prabhupada gives a very nice paragraph on this on what you mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. Satyam, there's a very nice paragraph, 10th chapter. That fact should be presented as it is. A thief should be called a thief for the benefit of others, so that others don't get a loss. A thief should be called like that. At the same time, a society of Vaishnavas should give an opportunity to a thief to rectify, reform and change and correct his character so that he become a nice devotee. Every sadhu has a past and every criminal has a future, right? So those who are preaching, they should preach as per the audience. The whole purpose of preaching is to make Krishna the center of the audience life. Not make myself as a center of audience life or increase my fame or name or something like that. So direct straightforward preaching is required. At the same time, if a particular audience requires some time to come to Krishna, we can use that time to give them that philosophy which will help them to come to Krishna. Like we have Govinda's restaurant. It is for those who will otherwise not come to temple or rarely come to temple. That okay, you come to restaurant, have prasadam, your money goes to deities and you have darshan. Those who are already staying in ashram, Govinda restaurant is not for them. Govinda restaurant for those who will otherwise not come to Krishna consciousness. Of course, our temple and restaurant are connected. There are cities where only restaurants are there and temples are not nearby. So restaurant is a way to attract people, especially in Western countries, where people like to eat outside, but they don't want to go to Hindu temple, quote unquote Hindu, right? Similarly, some motivational preaching is required to those audience which may directly not like to hear about Krishna, but the purpose should be to bring them to Krishna. If the purpose is just to be politically correct, or if I say Krishna, my viewership will go down, no, that's not good. The purpose should be like that. And if somebody is confused or not comfortable with that, best is do direct preaching to devotees. Give books of Prabhupada. And when we do that, we represent the parampara. So if we read something other than Prabhupada, some other so-called self-help books, and then present that, then we are not representing the parampara. If your input is Prabhupada, your output will be Prabhupada message. If your input is newspaper or recent jokes on WhatsApp, then output will be like that. So better have only Prabhupada message as input, then you will not have any other output. Then whatever you say will be from the parampara. But if your input is so-called books, so-called impersonalism, then better not preach. Okay?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Probably these 6 different okay. Can you just they were the 6 sons of Mariji, and they laughed at Lord Brahma, and Lord Brahma caused them to be born in a family of demons. So they were Hiranyakashipu their father. So what was the offense they did and they were cursed? I forgot to listen.
So Hiranyakashipu, after he got the boons from Brahma, he promoted himself as Bhagavan. Nobody can kill me, I am God. So he told all his Asura subjects, Manmana Bhava, Mad Bhakto, Madhyaji, Mam Namaskuru. Think of me, worship me, become my devotee, and pay your obeisances to me. And everybody used to say, Bhagavan Hiranyakashipu ki. Good, we don't have his devotees here. Everybody would glorify him. But the 6 sons of Marichi, they knew this fellow is not Bhagavan, he took everything from Brahma. So they directly worshipped Brahma and got the same boons, similar boons. So Hiranyakashipu got very angry, how can you bypass me? You worship me, I'll give you boons. Why did you bypass me and go to Brahma? And you took the boon from Brahma, nobody will kill you. I, Hiranyakashipu, curse you, your father will kill you. And that is how their father was Kalnemi. So next life they were born as Devki's son. Kalnemi was born as Kamsa, whose father, and he killed them.
Who was Kalnemi in his previous birth?
Kalnemi in this birth.
No. Before he became...
He was Hiranyakashipu's brother's child or somebody like that. I don't recall. Call name is family members. He was Hiranyakashipu's family. He was one
So
member.
how did Hiranyakashipu knew that Kali would be the father, the next god?
Hiranyakashipu knew many things. After the boons of Brahma, he had all the 8 siddhis. So one who has siddhis, he can know some part of future also. I think devotees are okay. Those who need to go, they can please go. I'll take one more question. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Krishna, thank you very much. We already know in the discussion like skills and dishonesty. Right. But we see that sometimes we have skilled people and they are very beneficial to the society and we engage them in service. So how long it should be like, we should say, what is the criteria that we should I think you got my question.
Well, those who are skilled and beneficial to the society, they will be beneficial to the society in terms of the bottom line of the society, the profit, the numbers. But if they have low values, they will be highly harmful to the other people in the society. Other people will be frustrated seeing their faces or interacting with them. Because of their low values, they will hurt others or disturb others or manipulate others or abuse others or exploit others. But because of their skills, the bosses will be happy because they are giving good results. Such an organization is third class organization who takes care of bottom line more than the employees, who takes care of bottom line more than the people. So we don't want that to happen in ISKCON. So every person who comes, however good skilled he is, first he should be educated in basic Vaishnava etiquette, in basic character, and then he is given an opportunity to use his skills in the service of Krishna. Is that okay?
We try to give like, this is a society, we try to give chance to everybody, we try. But somebody is not reforming myself, like there is a line that
Now you can?
there is a line that leaders or person can say that no, we cannot tolerate that much. Even we are beneficial for the society. But we are
Well, the compassion of Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada himself quoted Nityanand Prabhu, that compassion of Nityanand Prabhu is unlimited. So every person should be given a chance to reform. If he is abusive or some such violent, he should be given a chance of reform outside the place where he can access and target victims. But he should be given a chance. But he should not get opportunity to target his victims. It may be child abuse, it may be brahmachari abuse, it may be woman abuse, it may be money abuse, it may be worker abuse, any kind of abuse. We should not tolerate. At the same time, we should give a chance to a person so that he is away from the probable victims, targeted victims, and he can still reform himself. If somebody doesn't agree to reform, we can't help. We can wake up a person who is sleeping. We can't wake up a person who is pretending to sleep. So, plus we may have unlimited compassion, but we may not have unlimited resources. So we'll have to see what is our priorities. So if we can't facilitate a person's reform, we should tell him to leave. But that's not a day-to-day ordinary case. That's a rare case. ISKCON society gives everybody an opportunity to reform. And our process is very powerful. If a person attends Mangalarati, chants 16 rounds, honor prasadam, hears Bhagavatam, he will definitely get reformed. Right? So we should, this should be allowed to everybody, to chant Hare Krishna, to have prasadam. But if he has already have a track record of even one abusing, then he should not be given opportunity to come in contact with targeted victims. Okay? And now ISKCON has zero tolerance policy for certain things like child abuse. So that we should follow. Okay? We'll end here. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.